Oops. I don't know how I want to open that. I'll be with you guys in just a second. Kathleen and Irene, can you guys hear me? Are you good? I'll just turn my music down a little bit. So today we're going to do some sketches with some ink and pen washes and some watercolor. I'll wait until everybody gets organized. It looks like Paulina's going to be a little late. That's fine. And I don't know if you're here, Kat. Maybe you are. And Carly, maybe today as well. I'm just checking my Instagram direct messages. And I know my auntie in California is trying to to watch. Okay. Mom is ready to go sketching already, my cousin says. All right, good. Just someone. I'm doing great, just someone, otherwise known as DJ. How are you, DJ? Hello, hello. So, I'm doing great. And what I wanted to do today, I wonder if Irene got any of her supplies. I know she got at least a sketchbook, but maybe not all the other things. So maybe what I'll do is start with a little watercolor, since everybody probably has that, and then we can add in some of the sketching stuff as we go. So, but this is one of the little flower studies that I did today with some ink, and I just used Sumi ink, India ink. But if you don't have ink, don't worry about it. You can use an ink pen, or you can use a liner brush, you know, a real skinny paintbrush to do fine lines. So, hold on. And let me grab my sketchbook. I have another one here too that I can show you for the moment till I get everybody organized. All right, so we can do a little review of what we did last time. Hey Carly, how are you? I wonder if Kat's here. She might be working. We'll just do a little, I'll show you what we did last time. A little bit of what we did last time. So we did this little sketch of Seattle. I call it a sketch, but it's really a watercolor. It didn't turn out as well as my original, but this was at the end of the stream and we were really tired. And then we also did this little watercolor of Elizabeth City. So that's a review from last time. And let me get, I just wanted to show you some pages in my sketchbook to give you an idea. So when you go out and you've got flower photographs of different places that maybe you are, and Carly, I know you're in the city, so you can get great pictures, and I know you've got a lot of great pictures, but to boil them down into a painting, you need to do these little sketchbook studies to figure out, you know, where the lights and darks are going to go and where your center of interest is going to be. And here I was doing a couple. I'm just making sure everybody can see this. One in basically 3 white, and then medium value, and then dark. And then this is one of the little sketches that I did. And I still wasn't extremely happy with that, but yeah, let me take a look. Okay, here's another sketchbook study. And this is a photograph I took in Italy, and I'm just working with the shapes and values. And here is kind of a watercolor where I'm really keying in on just the one figure and blurring out everything in the background. Let's see if I have some pen and ink studies in here. These are some watercolor, just mixes I'm working with. Okay, so here's a good sketchbook study just with the ink. Just with the pen. Hey, Kat. So when you guys go out sketching in town, and Carly, you'll be in the beautiful city of San Francisco, you can take your sketchbook out. Now this one's kind of a large one, but you can always divide the page in half or quarters and do 4 quick small sketches of the same scene to figure out the best composition. And this one I just did with ink. And then after you get your ink sketch in, you can go ahead and just do a watercolor wash on top. And it doesn't have to be, you know, entirely. You can just do part of it. You don't have to do the whole thing. And maybe what I'll do is, I'm going to see if I can go ahead and put my Pinterest page on here. Let me see if I can get that set up. I'd like to have it on there so I can show you some images of, let me see. Okay, I need to add, oh, I know how I can do it. Okay, let's see. Laptop camera. Video camera. Video capture device. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. All right, never mind. I'm afraid if I mess with it, I'm going to screw it up. I'll get it going next week or later in the stream, because then I don't have to worry about it messing everything up. But anyway, so to a sketchbook study like this, you can just start adding little washes of color to the pen and ink. I mean the ink. And in this one, it looks like the ink that I used is a little bit water soluble because it's starting to maybe run just a little bit. So you can check your pen supply at home. And I see Kathleen, you and Irene are on. That's good. But you can see how quickly it builds up a really nice foundation. And so you can go through your photographs or go to Google and find something on maps or whatever and just start sketching in the outlines of your buildings or whatever you're doing. And then you can just put a nice wash right over the top like this. And so the ink adds the really nice graphic dark element in your painting that makes it look kind of cool. Now maybe back here we'll have a maybe this building, I kind of want to use like a green. So I'm just going to use a Viridian maybe. We'll pretend this is like in Venice or somewhere where the buildings are. So that's just with a regular old pen. And you can use the gel pens or pens that are going to bleed or permanent pens, whatever you want. And if it bleeds a little, sometimes that's cool because it makes your painting look cool. I think I'll just do that. And if you want, you can darken up the values a little bit more, like here maybe on the street. And then you can add some shadows just by adding a little. Now this is yellow ochre. You can just add a little ultramarine, and pretty soon you've got a nice little pen and wash sketch going on. Okay, so let's see. Paulina, hey Paulina, you're here. Oh, we're having a great weekend in Raleigh. It was beautiful yesterday. It's beautiful out today. It's like 85 degrees. We're gonna barbecue tonight. This one looks like it probably was like a waterproof ink, but you can use either way. If you want to use ink that is not permanent, that bleeds a little, you can do that too. But it just gives you a really nice way to make a quick sketch. And for Carly, who's in San Francisco, I know there's a very active group there of urban sketchers. And you can go and meet up with the urban sketchers and just take a sketchbook, your backpack, and a couple of pens and you're ready to go. Pens, pencils, whatever you want to use. I mean, it'll be the gamut of, people have all sorts of different things that they're going to bring and use in their sketchbooks. But the pen is just one thing. Another thing I wanted to show you that you can do with your sketchbook is, let me see. Now here's a couple of, now they're not very good, but here's one that I did just with pen and ink. And on this one, I don't like it because my colors are not, they're all over the place and it doesn't make a nice graphic. But this one is just with a thick, probably a charcoal pencil or a graphite pencil of some kind. Let me grab a few of these things. So, put that over there. And what you can do is outline them with a marker to give yourself a nice border, like this. And then you can keep adding your washes however you want. Now this one looks like something I was doing very quick and fast to get, something on the page. That's a little bit thick there. But imagine if you were just trying to work up a composition, a thumbnail for a painting. Maybe we'll put some ultramarine and Irene, I know you're probably chomping at the bit to paint, but today's kind of an additional lesson to our doing thumbnails and quick sketches, because, you know, really I like to plein air paint, and I like to paint cityscapes and images from places that I've been. And so the question is well, how the heck do you do that when you've got, you know, a city in front of you and you want to break it down into a composition? You have to figure out ahead of time what it is that you're after in your painting. And so you can do these quick studies to figure out what your painting's going to be about, where the center of interest is going to be, where the lights and darks are going to be, some of the shapes, the big shapes, the little shapes, the shadows. And so it can give you a quick little, actually I don't like this purple over here, I should have used a darker. I don't like that green on there either, so I'll just knock that back. And there we go. And maybe here, just, okay, so you get the idea of your sketchbook. And there's another one. Here's a couple more. See, these are really rough, quick. Now here's a couple that I did just practicing the ocean. That's maybe for a different day, but the same thing applies. So if you're going out to look at the beach, you know, you can take your pen, your marker, and make a quick sketch. You know, maybe there's some rocks there or whatever, and the beach, and like this, and you can go from there to work out your, so in like less than a minute, you've got a little sketch. Yeah, Carly, you should meet up with the Urban Sketchers for sure. And so now this happened to be a Pigma Micron pen, but you could use, you know, a fine tip magic marker. I have actually in my arsenal here, somewhere, they actually make markers that are value pens, so you can get a very light gray, medium gray, dark gray, and every shade in between, like 12 different steps if you want. I think mine are in one of my watercolor kits. Let's see. No, I don't see them right now, but you know, Carly, all you need, and all of you, all you need for going out and sitting on a park bench or at a coffee shop is a little palette and your water bottle to spritz, and your pack of pencils and a paintbrush. One good paintbrush with a nice point is all you need to take out with you. If you have more, you can. I'd actually choose one a little bit smaller than this maybe, because this one's got a larger point and holds more water. This is a, I don't know, it looks like a number 12. about. But you could take a 12 and a 6 and a liner. Okay, so here's a number 10. This would be a good all-around brush for urban sketching. And these also come, I think, in travel kit sizes, so you can take them and put them into, you know, they come in these travel kind that are small. So anyway, yeah, I was looking for my markers that come in different values. So you can do a light, a medium, and a dark in gray, but I don't see them in front of me right now. So this is just with marker, and then you can fill in if you want to. Hopefully you can. Oh, you can't even see this. Here, let me move it over. Okay, so this is my little quick ink with the Micron pen, the sketch of the beach scene there. And it gives you, this is just a fun way to sit and practice. You know, maybe we'll do another one with, what's in the background at the beach? Maybe we'll do one with, you know, just a few buildings back there and a couple of palm trees. And the beach is there, and can just put a little indication of that kind of stuff. And maybe an umbrella. Maybe there's some people hanging out here. I don't want to get it too complicated, but then if you go ahead and add your wash to it, so let's put in some pretty blue for our ocean. Save some whites there. We'll grab some yellow ochre for the sandy beach. And you can see the washes are really light, and of course you can always go back and darken them up or add. Maybe I'll put a little lavender, a little purple, a little darker color towards the background there, and then maybe put in a little bit of a few clouds. Very quickly. And while that's wet, maybe drop in a little bit more. And add a little wash to the building. Now, what color should I make the building? One thing that you can do when you're out sketching is just squint at things, and if the building appears white, then just leave it white. Don't color it in at all. If it has a few shadows, put some shadows in. You know, maybe there's just a few windows hanging around. Maybe a few patios there. And then leave the rest white. And then go into your palm trees and give a little indication of those with a little bit of, you know, a green, a little hint of green, yellow. And why don't we make that umbrella really pop out and give it a little pink or alizarin crimson wash. And then I think this front looks a little boring, so we can add a few a little bit darker value of the sand color. And so this is called a vignette. It's not finished. It's usually fresh, quick, just a nice little urban sketch, I would say. Carly, I know. We did the Golden Gate Bridge, and I have a couple of cute sketches that I did. And also, who else was doing them? Kat, I think, and DJ, did you do the bridge? Paulina did not, I don't think, unless she's done it on her own. But look at how sweet. I mean, I just love pen and ink for, it's very easy to do, and you can get a really nice result really quickly, and it gives you a lot of ideas when you're out in the city walking around or at the beach or wherever. To keep it simple is the main thing that you can focus on. Keeping everything super simple and just not having to worry about it because it's in your sketchbook. You know, you don't have a $6 piece of watercolor paper that you're gonna wreck. And so it allows you to really be free and work with that. Now, if this was with a Micron pen, but say, for example, we could use other pens and things that are different sizes. So down here, I'm going to take this other marker. Ooh, it's kind of getting dried out. Maybe not a good example. I hate to say it, but this one, well, it's a Pigma marker, but I bought it in China and it's made in Japan. See the Chinese letters? But that's been, you know, almost 2 years ago, so we'll give them a break. But anyway, you can use different thicknesses of different markers for different effects. And of course, you can also you know, figure out, here's your light, medium, and dark. So it gives you something to go by when you're doing your sketch. And why don't we go ahead and fill in this rock one. Yeah, Kat, you did your bridge. So just remember to try to do them in 3 values if you can, or 4 values, to get to make a nice it makes an impact in your painting. Okay, now let's go ahead and try this this sketch. So in the sky, notice I have a couple different colors. So I've used a little cerulean blue. And then it looks like I popped in a little bit of alizarin crimson. You know, red mixed with blue makes purple. And so a little bit of that, as loose as you can, and not very thick paint. Irene, especially for you. I know you like it thick, but try to just let the water flow. And then if you feel like as it's drying a little bit, you can add more, but you've got to be a little bit careful about how much water is on your brush, because if you add too much water, then it's going to explode and go everywhere. Now in this case, I think I'll add a little more. So here I'm just dotting in a little bit more blue here and there. And it looks like on the other one I really splattered it good. So a little bit of splatter. And then I want you to notice in the rock the different values and colors and shapes. Let me close my, the sun's coming in. I have to close my shade. Hopefully this will look a little better. I keep moving my paper around. I need to make sure that it's in my camera. I didn't really check it. I don't want to move it too far. Let me get my other camera going. Sorry. There we go. All right. So anyway, what I was saying, is your three values here, your light, medium, and dark. And try to identify those values in this painting. See where the rocks are dark, and the waves, the water, especially up here. So that's what's going to add impact to your composition. Okay, and some people say that, well, generally, they say the center of focus of your painting should be where the lightest lights meet the darkest darks. So notice how well, you've got kind of a lot of that in this painting, but really right here is kind of the focal point of those rocks lit by the light. And here too, darkest dark, lightest lights. Now on this one, it doesn't have a real focal point yet, but you might say it's back here. You know, I would have to build up maybe a few darks, and I could do that by on here just adding a really dark, nice shadow under that umbrella, and now that might become the focal point, is whatever's going on there. And also I could add a few more if I wanted, a little bit more. With just a dark color, a dark, same color blue, ultramarine, just to darken up a couple of those windows. And then maybe there's some other things happening in here. You could add people, you could add more beach junk, you could add a pier going out to the beach, whatever you want. I kind of like it simple like that, so I'm just going to leave it. Maybe I'll put like one little shadow back here coming down. Put my umbrella back in there. I washed it out. There we go. Okay. All right, so continuing on with this rock, I would put in a light wash, a very light wash of this burnt sienna color. And then I'd go in a tiny bit with the cerulean blue and knock that in on one side. And then maybe a little bit down in here. And then I would let that dry, and then maybe add, as it's drying, with a dry brush. You want to dampen out the water out of your brush and add a little bit more burnt sienna, just a tiny bit more. And maybe add a tiny bit of that Cad Ready orange color and put a little bit more indication of, you know, some red. Just to differentiate some of these rock shapes. Add another little layer there. And then you can, because I'm just using sketchbook paper, it's really soaking in. And so you may have to, if you're using sketchbook paper, just keep adding until you build up the color that you want. So a little more cerulean there, maybe a little more down there. And then you can start doing the same thing to your rocks here in the foreground. Now, I want to see the shape of those, so I'm going to go in there with this burnt umber. You can mix it with a little bit of ultramarine blue to get this deep, deep dark. And under these rocks too, but leave some whites. Leave some whites in between. And that's kind of building up the base of these. And then I'm going to go over the top with, get that nice and dark underneath there. And then I'm going to add my cadmium red, or your orangey red, whatever orangey red you have, to the top of that, and just let it kind of all bleed together. If you want, on the very top of the rock, you can leave some white to suggest the highlight where the sun's hitting it. And here maybe I'll pick up a little bit more of that orangey, well, a little more burnt sienna orangey color. And just go around there with one other color. I'm going to push this down. That's a little bit more. And then here and there you can let part of this rock blend into the beach. So the reason I'm doing this today is because, you know, most of the days we kind of been working in our sketchbook, and I've been painting full watercolor demos, and it can be tricky. So this gives you a place to start and a place to be free in your sketchbook to develop ideas and to have fun, because you don't necessarily always want to be struggling over trying to produce, you know, like the next Monet painting. You want to make it fun, and it's an easy way to capture, you know, a day on, you know, your vacation, if you're sitting in Paris at a cafe, or Irene, if you're running down to the club by the pool and you want to just do a little watercolor down there of all your beautiful, you know, all those flowers in Palm Desert and the green, all those green, pretty green bushes and things. So, okay, so there we've got some rocks. And then, now in this one, it's got a ton of waves. You could leave this just blank like this and just let it go. You could add a tiny bit more orange here for pop and call it done. I mean, maybe that was your impression. Or if you want, you can go back in with your blue and add a pop of color here to, you know, the ocean coming around. And you can switch it up with another brush. I'll leave that blue on this brush, and then I'll take another smaller brush and take my cerulean color. And I even have another color in my palette next to it that's called Horizon Blue, which I love. It's this really pretty light blue color. And I just like to mix it up with that. Now, I'm not really super good at doing waves with splashy things, but a lot of people are. And if that's what you want to learn to do, there's like a million YouTube tutorials on how to do waves and, you know, expressive kind of things. I'll just do like a swoop, like this is swooping up like a crashing wave, and then a few splatters on that. And I'll add a little bit of this Viridian green to it to give it that, like it's, and if you don't have Viridian, you can just use your same cerulean blue, just mix a little bit of yellow into it. So you've got kind of that washy look of the beach. I think it needs still yet a little bit more of that blue to darken it up. There we go. Really get the dark value in the where that wave is coming up and turning. And dot in, dot, 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 a little bit of extra love on that. We'll get really close so you can see it. Little dots, you know, while the paint is wet, you can dot in a few little dribbles here and there. Maybe that needs to be connected. I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to do too much to it, but I think you get the idea. And now that I see the rock way back here is dried, I could add a little bit more value to that just by going back over it with a little bit of burnt sienna. Maybe a little bit of that orange. And kind of let the water flow, let it do its work for you. Keep it loose. I have to check in with Irene to see how she's doing. Irene, are you doing your sketches? Did you do this rock one? And did you find a pen? Some kind of pen or marker? Anything really. Just not one of those huge, huge markers. Unless your page is huge. But okay, let's see what's going on. Yes, Kat, you do want to order that blue. It's called Horizon Blue, I think. Let me see. Yeah, it's made by Holbein. It's a beautiful color. Really pretty. I'll hold this up so you can see it close up. And some of these shadow shapes in the rock, you can keep going and add, like in this crevice here, you can add a little more dark blue to give it a little more pop there. Well, not pop, but just a little more value to suggest that that's, you know, a craggy crevice in the side of that rock. I don't know. I'm not really very good at doing rocks, but the main thing is when you do them, you want to look for the shadows, squint your eyes, and then suggest. You're not going to be able to suggest like every little shape in the rock because that would just be too busy, but just get like one or two. That's pretty good. And what I can even do is I can add more just by taking out my pen, and the paper is wet, so when I add the pen now, it kind of blurs out a little bit, and you can use that to your advantage too when you like. if you have a spot in a painting that looks boring or it just looks empty, add little details, little dots and dashes here and there. You could make them little birds. Don't ask me how, but there's a bird maybe. Actually, that looks like a turtle or something. But here's my brush. I'm just going to blur that out. So maybe those are just some things, seaweed on the beach there or something. A little bird. I want a bird in here. Little birds. DJ, how's your weekend going? Oh, that looks like a man. There's a guy walking on the beach now, right there. Tiny little guy. Look at how the scale of that little guy makes that rock look like it's enormous. That's okay, I like him. I'm gonna give him a partner. Your next question is gonna be, how did I do that? Just give him a little dot for a head, and then a little here. In fact, why don't I give you a little lesson right now on people, if you want to add people to your paintings. Okay, so let's say this is our horizon line, right? This is our eyesight line. We'll just say eyesight horizon. Okay, and then if we have, there's a guy there. Here's another guy. And there's another littler guy back there. And maybe he's with a buddy coming this way. Maybe over here we'll put a lady. She's running that way after her kiddo, which you can make him smaller because he's a little guy. And then we'll make another larger person there. The main thing is, I didn't draw my line very straight, but the main thing is you want to keep them all here on the same level. And then there's your beach. Maybe this guy has a fishing pole here. Okay, let's put another guy in here. And this is going to be one crowded beach. Maybe he's, I don't know what he's doing. This guy looks like he's just there. He's running out into the water. And so if you're sitting at the beach, look at in front of you at eye level, and then that's your horizon line for making your drawing. And then you can start putting people in as you see them there. Oh, DJ, you didn't, so you slept all day? Does that mean you're going to be up all night tonight? Yeah, sometimes those thoughts keep us up at night, especially if we've got something heavy we're thinking about before we go to bed. I'm going to make this real pretty blue back here. And then I'll just add a little bit of this raw sienna for the sand. And I think I'd like to keep this as a vignette too, and just really simple. And of course, if you want, you can plug in a little bit of color on your figures. So this is a really nice way, I think, to learn how to get a result and figure out how the water moves in watercolor without making a huge investment in spending tons and tons of time. But it gives you a lot of practice to play with it and have fun and not worry about everything so much. Maybe this guy's going to have a dark shirt on. And always think about which way is the light coming on your scene. So in this case, maybe the light is coming down this way. And so this side of his shoulder here is light. And the other side has the shadow. And then same thing with the, on the sand here, the shadow's coming across this way maybe. Maybe the sun's up high and there's not too many shadows. So then the shadows would be short rather than long. When the next time you're out in the city walking around or sitting down or whatever you're doing, pay attention to the shadows coming off of things and how they fall and how they where they are at different times of the day. Typically, if you're plein air painting, you paint in the morning until about noon, which at noon, the sun is going to be noon or 1 o'clock, the sun will be right overhead. And so you won't have hardly any shadows. And it's always good to have shadows in your paintings. So at noon, all the plein air painters will go eat their lunch, and then they'll take a little break, and then they'll come back in the afternoon to catch the afternoon shadows in their paintings, which add a lot of nice drama. And it also allows you to paint the light because you're painting the shadows to enhance, the light. I think I'll put a little bit of alizarin on this guy. Here we go. And then maybe just a quick, where was that color I was using? This blue color that I'm using is phthalo blue. That's on my palette right here. It's a very, very saturated kind of color, and you have to use it sparingly. Be careful with it, because it'll go everywhere. And I'm checking to see which shade it is. It's green, phthalo blue green shade. So there's phthalo blue, I guess blue shade, and then green shade. So probably the blue shade has more red in it, and the green shade probably has a little bit more yellow base to it. Let's darken up that guy's shorts there with that. And I wanted to put in a little bit more wave action here. Some of these little swirlies. Little bits here and there. That one looks a little bit funky, but that's okay. There we go. And let's see, maybe this guy, will just make him blue too. And I think I'll leave it like that. Carly. They're not social distancing. How has it been in San Francisco with social distancing? I know you guys, I saw pictures of you out, with walking Marley and hanging out. I think it was the beach. I'm not sure where. How's that going? I did my hair and I still have, look at, I still have pins in it because it was really damp and after I washed it, I forgot to take the pins out. I have another one up here, but I think I'll leave it. I don't want the hair hanging down in my face. Actually, I think this guy needs either a shirt on or some skin color because you can see right through him to the water. So, oh, that's good. You go early to avoid everybody. You know what? Joe's been really, really careful too. I mean, he's way more careful than I thought he would be because, like, so, a lot of times he won't even get out of the car. Like, I go into the grocery store, he sits in the car. He makes me wear a mask, gloves, and then I take the gloves off and throw them away before I get in the car. And then we have wipes in the car, so I wipe down my hands and everything. I mean, he cannot get the virus because he's got too many other, he's on, the whatever. We'll talk about it later, but he has to watch his, blood pressure and he takes some other medication. But anyway, he does not want to get this virus. And so we're trying to be really extra careful, and he's being really careful. So, okay. And then, is the city still closed down in San Francisco? It's so sad here. We went out yesterday driving around just to get out of the house. And, we went down to our North Hills shopping center that you remember, Kat, where they had the summer concerts that we went to. And everything's closed. I mean, there were... the one Mexican restaurant is there for drive up and takeout, only. And it just looks like apocalyptic to me almost. I mean, I don't know how all these people are going to manage. I mean, there's so many new restaurants down there that it's just devastating for their businesses. It's crazy. All right, that guy's got a red shirt on now, so he looks better. And the little boy needs a little more red over here. And of course, I'm sure Carly heard all about my escapades yesterday on the patio. It was so nice outside. When we got home, I went out to the patio and I really needed a pedicure. So I took everything out there and painted my nails and I don't do my fingernails, but I did my toes. And I even painted them with flowers on every toe. Like, I painted it and then I painted a flower on each one and then sealed it. And Joe is like, what on earth are you doing? And he can't really see unless he puts his glasses on. But I did send a really high quality photo to Jimmy, Carly's husband, which I'm sure he appreciated, a close up of my toe. But we won't talk about it. Oh, okay. Okay, so I just got a text from Kathleen and Irene. Oh, she sent me a picture of her whole setup there. She said, Mom did. Now, this is my aunt, not my great aunt, my aunt, who is, I don't know how old exactly, but I'll say the first number starts with 8. And she's been painting and drawing and doing art for a long time, but she often doesn't do watercolors. So I sent her a few supplies, and wow, she's going crazy. This is perfect. And Kathleen says, Mom did a watercolor postcard. She's going to mail it to me. I would love to see that. Okay, so here's her setup. Wow, look at that, Irene. I love the big bucket of water she's using. Wow. Don't leave your paintbrush in there, though. Look at that. Did you get the brushes that I sent for you? I'm not sure if she did yet or not. Maybe not. Oh, look at that. There's our painting. Look at that. I love it. She put sailboats in. She's a rock star. Okay. Thank you. That was fun. I'm not done yet. Now, what's this other one? Is that on your sketchbook there? I'm not sure what that one was, but that one needs more detail. It's not done yet, as you probably know. And I see you've got a book out there, so you're looking at some kind of book, maybe doing your own thing, which is fine. And I see me on your screen. Okay. So, one thing that I sent to my auntie was I don't know if she got them yet. Looks like she might have, if her paints arrived or not. But I sent her the Alvaro Castanet watercolor set, which has all of these colors on it, which is a really nice set to start with, Carly, if you're looking for. It's the Daniel Smith Alvaro Castanet set, and this one, I believe it was on Amazon, so you can refer to that if you want. And then the other color that Kat really likes is that Horizon Blue by Holbein. And I don't know if you can get that on Amazon or not. You might have to go to your local art store or order it from Dick Blick or wherever. Okay. All right. On with our lesson. So we deserve the pick too, don't we? He showed me. Haha. Oh, TJ, you want to see the picture? I'll show you. Where is it? Where's my phone? Oh, here it is. The picture of my toe? Oh my God. You are too funny. Wait, let me find it. I was having a good time yesterday, kids. Okay, hold on. Let me find it. Oh, I know where it is. It's in my text to Jimmy. Hold on. It was really funny. Yes, you do deserve to see it. Not sure about this. I don't know if you can see it very good, but let's see if I can get it close enough. Well, it's hard to tell. How do I blow up this picture without this stupid thing going like that? Can you see it? It's hard to see the painted part. It's a really funny picture to send to somebody, but I was having a good time yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. You can't. I don't know if you can really see. Oh, yeah, you can kind of see. Paula. I know. I did little daisies. I'll show you what I did. I did, so I put like this color on my toenail. Okay. And then when that dried, I went in with a magenta color and I did a daisy like that. And then in the very center, I had a dark color because sometimes I paint my toenails like a black color. And I did the black in the center like that. How come it's not, oh, like that. That's it. Where's my daisy? So for the daisy part on your toenails, you just use I used a toothpick and I dipped it in very technical. I used to get pedicures, but now I just do them myself. But you dip a toothpick in the nail polish and you just get a dot on the end of the toothpick so you can do dot like that for your pedicure. And then do a dot in the middle. So that's how I got and mine actually is kind of like that Hawaiian, like those Hawaiian flowers that kind of they have like the petals that go like that. That's what mine looks like that. And then with the black dot in the middle. What I wanted to do was a different flower on each toe, but I don't have that many colors because I just don't use that many colors, so. All right, okay. Is that enough shenanigans for today? I'm not done painting yet. I've got more to show you. Okay. So let me get a new page. And Carly, we can talk later about supplies for you to order for your travel set. I know you guys like to go. I have an old one by Winsor Newton, but they don't make it. They do make one, but it's made with their Coatman watercolors, which are their student grade, and I don't recommend those. So you can't order that one with the student grade watercolors in it. But what you can do is get, they sell these little things online, and then you just use your tubes to fill up these little things. They come out of here somehow. I guess you pull them out. These ones I've never pulled out because, well, here, see, it just comes right out. And you can, I've never taken these out, I just leave them in here, but this particular one was Sennelier. And this one I think you can order online. The only thing about this one though is that it comes pre-filled with these colors. And which is okay, but notice there's no yellow ochre. And so that for me is a problem. There's also no, well, let me get my other palette before I start ripping on Sennelier. Because you can take these out and put in, you can buy these little things. And this is a half pan size. A full pan size is twice that big. And you can fill them up any way you want. So where's, this one I really like, this Meaden watercolor one. And it's cute too because it's blue. And this one, you order these little things separate and put them in there and then load them up with the colors you want. And then always make yourself a color chart that shows you what's in there. And what I've done with this one is all these different pretty greens, and then of course the opera pink, and then some white, and this buff titanium I love just to play with that because it's a really fun color. It's kind of a milky, mousy, it's just a really fun color. So these are odd colors that you don't use all the time. So you can buy 2 of these and then set them up with different, one with like your basic palette that you need, like 2 warm red or a warm and a cool of each of the primaries, and then set up another palette that has like more of your fun colors that you're only going to use once in a while for little accents. And that's what I've done. I've filled this one up with, it's got phthalo green light, hooker green, emerald green, green gold. This one is a Turner paint. It's called Fresh Water. It's very opaque. It's almost like a gouache. But I wanted to try it because look at the color. Doesn't that look pretty? That might be useful once in a while. And then Opera is this really bright hot pink color. And that's a nice color once in a while if you're doing flowers, DJ. Just saying. And then the buff is this, which I wouldn't really recommend getting. It's just something that, you might want to try down the road. You're not going to use it a lot, but once in a while you might. And then this is a lemon yellow I put in because it's always nice to have extra lemon yellow. And I have a space there. And then this is Aureolin. Aureolin yellow, which is a cooler kind of a yellow color. It's not as warm as the lemon yellow. And where can I show you that? Let me put, right here. So this is Aureolin. Look at how cool that is, that color. And if I put it next to the Daniel Smith regular lemon yellow, well, that looks pretty cool too, actually. But this one is supposed to be, maybe it's a little warmer. I thought Aureolin was cooler, but it looks warmer. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. Look it up. Okay. So, now that's bugging me. Okay, let me see. I want to read all the ladies students should do it. It's an assignment. To do your nails? Yes. Well, yeah. You young girls probably do your nails all the time anyway. I remember going over to my neighbor's house, and she's got 3 girls, 3 daughters. And I went up into her art studio space, which is also their craft room. And there was a shelf, literally, there must have been at least 50, if not more, maybe 75 different nail polish colors. Anyway, it's interesting. All right. Carly loves all the greens. Okay. Yeah, there's like so many fun greens you can get. This emerald green one is like a really fun color, and I think that's made by Sennelier. I'm not sure, but look at that. And it's a little bit opaque. It's not totally translucent. And here I'll water it down a little. Look at it watered down, how pretty that is. Now imagine that with any other color, especially like, look at it with the lavender. You can mix them together and see what they do. Isn't that pretty? Imagine being in the Caribbean with those colors in the water. Challenge accepted. DJ, are you going to do your nails? You should. Do your toenails. You know, the reason I thought of that is I was looking on Pinterest and I saw some really cool pictures of different ways to do your toenails. But anyway, we're getting away from the subject here at hand. So, yeah, that's emerald green. And while I've got this open, I may as well show you the hooker green, which is you can get a really nice rich dark green with this hooker green. And especially if you add, like, I'm going to add this blue to it. And again, to be perfectly transparent, this blue that I'm picking up right now is indie blue, which is like your blue jeans blue, indie blue. It looks like that. So when you mix it with that emerald green, look at that beautiful color. And if you go like this, you can see it kind of merge and meld and it's fun to make little color charts, what you got going on. And then this other green was called Phthalo Green Light. And I don't know, this one. Ooh, look at that. That's fun. That is really fun. I'm going to check back in with Irene to see if she's still there. Do I have any more messages? Oh, maybe Kathleen has left the scene, and sometimes she goes to visit Irene on Sundays, and but she may have gone home, and that's fine. And Irene, you can still paint away, paint away. You've got to make sure you've got enough images that you can use for reference. Okay, so anyway, that's that. And when I see that green like that, I just want to drop in a little bit of another color to see what happens. That's a red, so that's going to make a brown. This is alizarin crimson. Well, it's actually quinacridone rose that I'm dropping into there. And so green and red make a brown, and there it is. And then if I add my hot pink here, which is called Opera, there, then we get some flower shapes. All right, I have a few more tricks up my sleeve to show you for different things you can do while you're out sketching. I kind of want to grab a smaller sketchbook. That will be easier to, let's just go ahead and use this one. What have I got in here? Oh, I started another color sketchbook. Let's not use that one. Let's see if I can. This is me trying to figure out something I was trying to paint. Okay, we can use this one maybe. This sketchbook is a really old one. One of my first. And it's got some really old stuff in here that I'm not even going to show you. No, we're not going to use this one because the paper's not thick enough. See, this is 50-pound paper. You guys want to use at least for a sketchbook, at least 90 pounds, if not 90, 100, 120. So that it's thick enough. Let's see, I'm grabbing another sketchbook. Oh, let's see, this one? Oh yeah, this one should be fine. This one's messy on the edges. This is good. Okay, so what I did here was a little flower study. And actually, I have another one too. Where'd it go? Oh, this one. So I wanted to just show you my India ink. And this was inspired by some flowers that I have here in my studio that I'll show you. Let's put all these pens away. Now, anything can be a reference. So I used these dead, dried up flowers. You see? And these ones with these little baby's breath kind of things. And so I just sketched out, looking at those shapes with my India ink. Now, what do I do with my sticks? So I went out into the yard and I grabbed a few different twigs here from my hydrangea bush. You can pick up any kind of sticks you want. And it's fun to play around with those. Let's see. Oh, we can play around with this page. Okay. So here I was just taking my phthalo blue color, which is that really bright staining blue-green, and I was just putting different colors on top to see what popped and what didn't. And after this is dry, of course, then you add the other colors on top. So that's what I was doing there if you're curious. But I have right here some Sumi ink. And this is for drawing, painting, and calligraphy work. Now, this Sumi ink, you don't really want to use it with your nice brushes because if it's permanent, it'll ruin a nice brush, but you can use it with a cheap brush. Or you can use it for nice textural effects. You can use it with, and I just poured a little bit in a cup here. And I'm going to dip my stick in there. And I'm going to try a few different ones. So, because you can get some really interesting, ooh, look at that. Beautiful line work, shapes, and things with this ink. And the sticks make it, using a stick like this, makes it very random. And so you can get a really nice base for your painting. Now that to me looks like kind of like a mountain coming down. And then I can put something here in the foreground. No wonder the Chinese like this brush painting stuff. The black makes everything pop. But so you can try sticks and you can try one end and then the other and see what kind of effects you get. Now maybe I'll try a different one. I used to have one in my studio here that I really liked. It gave really good random shapes. This one's a little bit thicker, but it has a point on it. So let's try this one. So mark making in your watercolors to get different textures and shapes should be like on your brain, because textures and shapes and values will give life to your paintings. And this is a fun way to do a drawing and get some good results with these sticks. Also, what you can do is if you can first put down, you know, a watercolor wash and then do a line drawing over the top. So if I wanted to, ooh, that's really thick. Maybe this is going to be, that's the line I like, that thin line. So I'm going to switch over to a different, I don't want that ink on my desk. This one, which is going to give me a real fine line like that. So if you vary the thickness of your lines, you can get interesting results. I better check the chat. Oh, okay. I think everybody's studying right now. So this is going to be my parasol pine here. And then, I mean, you can do all kinds of different shapes. Maybe up here, oh, look at that, a little splatter. Isn't that fun? So this is on top of, you know, paint that you just put down randomly. All right. Let's move on to, okay, so once this is down and it's dried, even if it hasn't dried, you can make it bleed like this. And so you get another value, and it's also just washing. You can turn your paper around and let it, the water, do you see how it's sucking the water back this way and the paint? And you can get a really nice blooms and effects while it's still wet. But once it's dry, it's done. Like, you won't be able to go back in and change things up. So maybe I put a little more, pull up a little bit of that and put it in there, and you get some nice darks. This one over here is almost dry, but not quite. So it's kind of fun to play around with the Sumi ink. DJ, have you tried this? Sometimes it's called India ink, right? And you can get it in like a brown color too, which I think they call walnut. Just depends what you want. And so into that then I can lay down, I'm really kind of liking this blue with this. I can lay down a wash of a little bit of watercolor on there. And I'm using one of my cheap watercolor brushes. Nothing that's going to get ruined. And so there you go. Another way to use your sketchbook. And then you can put a little splatter on there if you want. Same thing here. And maybe on that parasol pine, I add a little bit of burnt sienna and viridian green to make those kind of, they're like kind of little lumpy clumps that go on top of the parasol pine trees. What time is it? 4:30. Okay. And maybe at the very top I add a little bit more. I'm actually using green gold, which is on the end of my palette here, but you could use just, your lemon yellow mixed with a little bit of whatever is already on your brush. And there's a nice little Italian parasol pine. Okay, so that's Sumi ink or India ink. And you can get these, what do you call this thing? It has this nib, and you dip that into your ink. And then you can make various lines and shapes and things, really fine lines, which are kind of cool. And that is how I did this one. I put first I did a little bit of a watercolor wash, and then I started playing around with the ink pen and just adding little bits of dark here and there. Same thing on this one. So remember, you don't have to color everything in with watercolor. Sometimes leaving parts white makes a nice vignette. You don't have to go all the way to the edge. And some of it can be left undone. So when you go outside and you see some flowers or greenery or whatever, you should try to do some vignettes. And if you want, use your, you can use ink, pen and ink, pencil. You can use charcoal pencils. You can use colored pencils. And then add watercolor either first and just make a kind of a, let's see. I'm looking for some paper. Here we go. This is Strathmore student grade cheap paper. And what you can do is make a wash first. Oops, I didn't tear that very good. You can make a washy background first and then paint on top of it. So, and I like on these little studies to do a nice border. So let's do a couple of them. Maybe we'll do squares. And then while you're doing this, one thing that you can do to think about is your color wheel. Where did I put mine? Here we go. So don't forget color theory when you're working. Think about working maybe with one color or a limited palette, and then going on to, I'm liking this green today, so let's point our color wheel here with our complementary colors, green and then red. And so let's make one, and we'll say, okay, we're going to do a complementary palette study. So let's grab that Viridian green and play with that for a second. And then maybe we'll add, just make a nice little vignette, nice little wash, add a little more paint to it. Maybe on one side than the other. And then maybe we'll leave some of it white. And then take our opposite color, which is the red. And in this case, maybe we'll use our alizarin crimson, like your more red. Not, you could use an orange red, but I want to use like more of a pinky red. And so maybe we just slap some of that on there, here and there, as our base. Maybe I'm just going to take that white part out of there and let it be, because I'm liking the way that wash is getting all pretty and washy. Okay, so that's number one. All right, already I can see this looking like a hydrangea or something like that. Then let's move the color wheel and we'll go to, how about our yellow, and work with the complementary, which is violet, yellow, violet. And so we're going to put that down. And in this case, we'll use our lemon yellow. We'll just put some of that in there. I'm using the yellow first because it's lighter, and when I add my violet to it, so we'll just mix up a little bit of blue and red, make a violet, and maybe I'll just make that really light and just wash it in. Just play with it and just put it here and there, maybe like that. And then the next one, anywhere you see hard edges, if you want to obliterate them, if they're too hard, just add water. And if it gets too muddy looking, add more yellow. Pops here and there, wherever you want. Okay. And you can add more violet to really bring in that those shapes. And this makes me think of like flowers, so maybe I'll just make a few shapes like that, and later I can come back in with a pen and ink and go over that. So we're just going to leave that one like that. Sorry, I didn't have it in the screen. Oh yeah, DJ, you like the pink flower, huh? This one. Right. Yeah, that's just based on those dead flowers that I had in my, but what makes it is the line work. And so it's not just about, the watercolor, but it's also about the structure and the line work in your drawing. And the more interesting the line work is, the more fun it is, the more beautiful it is. And like I say, varying those lines, some thick, some thin, some darker, some not. All right, on the last one, let's do maybe a blue, blue, green, red, orange. Let's try that. Blue, green. So in that case, we're going to pick up, I guess we'll pick up some cobalt blue, and we'll add, let's see, how can I get the color I want? Cobalt, add a little bit of that lemon yellow. I'm going to need more blue in there. That's pretty good. So blue-green. And then we'll drop in the red-orange, which is going to be kind of wild. I think I'll just splatter it in. And that looks really, really fun. Now, because this is cheap paper, it is going to dry funky and it's not going to be as bright and beautiful as on watercolor paper, but you get the idea. And then you can go in with your, well, you all don't have India ink, so I won't dwell on that, but you can go in with different markers, pens, and then start doing your shapes on top. And right away on this one I see, I mean, you can turn your paper all different ways, but I see desert and rocks on this, so I think it would be fun to go in and make that's not going to show up very good yet. It's not going on my, but I like the idea of this desert landscape. Oops. Going with a little burnt sienna on here. Over the top. And bringing that down. And then maybe on the foreground, keeping with the same color palette, that orange. And letting that bleed into there. Kat, are you, did you have to work this weekend? Are you with Raul or are you solo today? And if I look at my color wheel on that blue, green, red, orange, you can choose a third color if you want, kind of a pop of color of any kind, or you can go lighter and darker along the color wheel. So I don't know, I just really love that blue sort of color, if there's a way I can incorporate that into the background there. And I need to let that dry so I can go back in with my pen. Where's my, well, let's try this. My Sumi ink pen. And maybe make a little path here. And some texture in the front of that, and maybe that's the rock edge. Looks like the ocean. Anyway. Okay, that's not quite dry enough. Now on these ones, I don't know. You can add your lines and I mean, I'm only trying to imagine a you know, a bloom here. So maybe there's little bits. I can barely see what I'm doing in this. Of adding, and this is still a little bit wet, so it's, but you get the idea of adding a few some line work to your drawing. And The nib on this particular ink dipper pen is not great, so it doesn't really okay. This one, wow, I just really want to go in there with line work on this because it's lighter, you can see what's going on, and maybe do some fun flower shapes. Now, I suggest that you all go to Pinterest. I didn't get to show you today, but maybe next time I'll have my camera set up so I can show you on Pinterest. If you search pen and ink washes with watercolor, you're going to see a lot of these things that are really fun to do. And I think it'll really help when it comes to your sketching and drawing and doodling. Now, this one is a mess over here, but I'm not going to give up on it yet. What I can do is add some structure to it by dividing some space and making some lines. This nib on this pen is not very good. I'm also going to show you a couple other options for these pens. Lame, I believe is what it's called, is another one. So they're just putting in a little bit more interesting shapes. You can add to, maybe that's enough. Okay. This is a pen that I bought in Italy, and it has this nib on here that you can change, and it's made by Lame. I don't even know if I have extra cartridges for this, but I can see this is probably dried up right now. Oh, there we go. And these you can use in your urban sketching or when you're traveling. And if you Google these pens, look at how fun they are to write with. And the nibs come in different sizes. I would suggest getting a fine kind of a nib, a finer one, and then this one that I have is kind of a medium. I don't know what number it is. I guess I could look on there. I think it says number 9. But I would suggest getting a fine one because then you can really mark with them. And I don't remember if this is water soluble or not. Oh, it is. Okay, so here's how you can really, like if you take one pen with you and a little sketchbook, look what you can do. When they're water soluble, how fun is that? And then while it's still wet, you can even go back in and add more. Look at how the ink just allows you to go crazy. I think that's so fun. There was a lady on my last trip. I went to Italy with a bunch of artists. And there was a lady who had a sketchbook, and all she used was these pens, and she had various ones. In fact, she had more art supplies. She's an art supply lover, so like she buys all kinds of stuff and tests everything out. But she does her sketches with these things, and her sketchbook is absolutely amazing. It was really, really cool to see. But look at how this flows out of this pen in the water. I love it. When I will get my new colors, I will try to make something like the pink flower. I worked the past 3 nights and I'm solo today. Okay, he says hi when I talk to him. Hi. And, oh, it's the first time you're on without him? Oh, okay. Well, tell him to subscribe to my channel and then he can be here with us chatting. That would be fun. Is he still cooking for you, Kat? Are you guys making lots of dinners? Okay, so anyway, this lame pen, lots of fun. It's, you know, it's a fountain pen. So, and I forget exactly how it, I haven't used it in a while, but anyway, so there's that. And then this is the travel, the black velvet travel. This is the one I was looking for to show you, Carly. So look at how small it is. You can just take, you know, one of these with you, or 2 maybe. This is a pretty small one. It's a size 6. You might want to take like a size 8. And then that can fit right in your backpack. And look at how little it is. So 1 travel brush, 1 tiny little palette, and you don't have to use even the this size palette, which is pretty heavy if you're just taking a backpack with you. What you can do instead of that is you can take, now I gotta find it. Oh, you can take an Altoids box. Now in this one I have a sponge and an eraser, but you can take the this stuff out and put in, gosh, I just had one the other day. What do I do with it? Is this it? No. Maybe I put it in here. Nope. Well, I'll show you next time. But you know those gums where you pop out the little chiclet gum things, and then you're left with that little plastic thing? You can put that in here, or you can buy those little, you know, the little these little things, and you can glue into there, like just your basic colors. Like maybe 6 colors that you need, and put that in your backpack, and along with your travel brush. And if you want, you can cut up a sponge and put it in there on one side of your paints. And if you look on Pinterest for watercolor travel palette handmade ideas, and you will see people that have come up with all kinds of crazy things. And so all you would take with you is this, the brush. You have a cup of water anywhere, and then you just need your little sketchbook, and you can do a lot with that. So fun. You're going to end up with so many art supplies you won't know what to do. This is starting to dry. So I just went over with a little bit of the ink. So you can do the wash first, especially if you know what you're aiming for. This one turned out to be pretty messy, but you could keep working on that and turn it into something if you wanted. And flowers, I think, are really fun to do with that technique. And then of course, this one is that lame fountain pen. Now I had another fountain pen too that I got because, again, somebody recommended it and was using it. And this one I think was about $19, somewhere around that range. And the nib, ooh, it's a medium point. It's called an F. But this one specifically, they want you to use non-acrylic ink because acrylic ink jams up the nib. I'll give you more information on this one later, but that's another option. A little more technical we have to go into on that. All right. So, oops. Got things slipping all over here. Maybe we should use my Sennelier palette of colors. It looks like they've got that emerald green in there. Isn't that cool? I don't use this palette very often because it doesn't have exactly the colors in it that I want, but once in a while. I mean, they're beautiful colors. I just don't always. Okay, so. Okay. Yeah, who's got paintings to share? If you guys want to share your paintings, your work that you've done over the week, you can put them, direct message me on Instagram and I'll share them. Okay, so if you want to write down some things to remember for that you can do until next week, I have a little list here. Paint only the shadows. So go out and sketch, like do your line sketch with your pen, and then with your watercolor, only put in the shadows that you see. Or just paint around all the white shapes. Try that. Or you can go out and try to paint just the shadows first. So you make a vignette out of just the shadows. Try that. Remember to use, try to be conscious of your color wheel. So try to do some complementary color schemes, and then you can mix it up. This one, of course, I mixed it up a little bit, but notice how it has a theme of the pink color, or the reddish pink, the crimson color as an overall theme, and then a little highlights of some darker darks with some purples, and then some highlights with the yellows and yellowish green. And then on this one I did more of a violet and orange theme, and just tried to use different size marks, splatters, layering one color over another. And that one didn't turn out very good. It was just a quick study, but I wanted you to see the complementary colors with the blue and orange, and these should be popped up a little more, but anyway. And then using the ink pen or the Sumi ink or whatever you want to use. So the other thing you can do is put a colorful wash down, mix it up a few different colors, and then do a line drawing on the top. Those are things you can do to get you going in your sketchbook. All right. And then you can also, on your color wheel, just start thinking about triads you can use too, different color palettes. So your basic one of red, blue, and yellow, but then you can mix around and mix it up. So that's kind of fun to do too, thinking about colors. All right. And work on your people skills, doing your eye level and painting your little guys. Some ideas for your homework is doing like going around the city and seeing different doorways or flower pots and how the light's hitting the flowers maybe on one side. If you don't want to go outdoors, you can do it inside with a still life. Set up, vegetables or apples or whatever, and work on doing lights and shadows. What else? Doodles. Next time I want to show you some of the things I had on Pinterest to show you, but I don't want to get to that page right now. I didn't have time to. I can work the camera so that it'll show you what I'm looking at on my screen. And that's what I wanted to do, but I don't want to do it now because my computer is already kind of overtaxed. And I think Jimmy could probably help me, like, go in there and investigate and see why it's operating so slow. I mean, I know the OBS system that I'm using uses a lot of memory, but I don't know. Okay, so I think I'm going to end the stream now, you guys. Was that helpful? Giving you some ideas for your sketchbook? And Paulina, I want to see some of your paintings. Does anybody have any paintings to show me before we end? Here's Irene's setup. Did I show you guys her? I can't get it to blow up. What do I have to do on the iPhone to take this picture and blow it up? Cancel. Nope, won't let me do it. Anyway, that's my auntie's table with all her... See her little watercolor postcard right there that she did? How fun is that? All right, let me go back to Instagram and see if anybody has sent me any paintings. Nope. I got no love, no messages, nothing. I got a cat here. Did you all see my story today? There it is. I gotta check. DJ wants to see your paintings, Kat. I do too. You probably have done some work since the last time we've been here. And what have I done recently? Nothing really. I'll show you one that I've done. Oh, I did do another one too. Well, these I really didn't get. I was working on them this morning a little bit, but I really didn't get, like, this is not good. But I was working on some little vignettes, and this is my violet and yellow. Now this will look pretty with a little pen over the top. And then this one was a really big mess, but it has some nice areas in it that are pretty. This got a little bit too mucked up here on the side. But it was not a good sketch to begin with. I was trying to, and see how the splatter and lines make a lot of interesting detail. Fun. All right, let me see what else I've got in here. These would look nice with some ink wash over the top of them. See, you can go in and make some shapes quickly and add darks right over the top of your watercolor. To emphasize an area of your drawing. And maybe back here a little bit. The edge of this. You can make a path coming around like that. You can add squigglies to this dry brush here in the front. Make it look like whatever. Seems like my lighting is not very bright today. I guess I don't have it. I need to really zoom in so you can see what I'm doing there. Whoa, there. Maybe that'll help a little bit with the camera. This is such a small. Okay, Carly, yeah. Just you might have to fast forward through some of the other ones because a lot of it is chit chat and talk and whatever. But yeah, I don't really have a video on the very basics, but maybe there might be some in some of the first ones. But I can send you some information too on doing washes and whatnot. But just get your sketchbook out and join the Urban Sketchers from San Francisco. How fun would that be? Yeah, and you have so many good photographs too. So we talked in one of the videos about doing thumbnail studies. So those are really good to do. And those you can do with just one color, just by varying the density of the paint, you know, how dark it is. So you mix up a really dark pool of your darkest value color, and then go to, you know, then just thin it out. So you make one like this, really super dense, and then the next one a little lighter, and then the next one add more water. So make like 3 puddles. Do your first wash with the first one, let it dry, then go on top of it with the next one, and then this. You'll get it, you'll have fun. You know where to find me if you have questions. And yeah, so yeah, anybody, if you guys want to send me pictures of your paintings or your sketchbook or whatever. Oh, DJ, you sent me one. Yay, let's see it. Oh, nice. You did a drawing with a girl with a hat. Oh, I love that. I love hats. Oh, and you did another nice, so good. You're practicing all your drawing skills. Wonderful. I love hats. I love that hat. That's got great detail in it. A big feather. And then you have the other images there of the sketch that you put right on top, which I like too. Very nice. Where is this lady from, DJ? Let's see if I have anything else in here I can share with you while I'll let that dry. Trying to remember where my painting was of, oh, here's some old sketches from the farmer's market. And look at this one. Fruits and vegetables. I think those were watermelons last year at the farmer's market. And then this little sketch, it's a mess. But I did turn it into a bigger painting that is not perfect, but I kind of like it. So I'll show you. I can find it. Let's see. Is this it? Oh, okay. So from that little sketch thumbnail, there's my finished painting. Which is, I started to work out the details there. I probably have another one too, somewhere in here. Oh, these are from the flower field. The, oh, there's another one. And then in my sketchbook, you can take a, you know, a ruler or a template and just make various sizes. So when you get out in the field, you don't even have to think about it. You just start going and doing quick studies, thumbnail sketches of your subject. Here's one. And this I turned into a painting. In fact, this one is on, I think it's one of the videos, if you want to watch it. But that's something that didn't work out. Here's me practicing a little flower. And see how the pen and wash, like, you can draw the petals first and then splash in your watercolor. This I did a painting of, a finished painting, but this is just a sketchbook study. I think this painting, one version of it might be on one of my Instagram posts. Anyway, and this was a study that I did of Portofino, and this painting I did on one of my YouTube videos too. So anyway, well, I better go now before I get into trouble. Somebody's making dinner and I think I need to help them. Thanks for sending me this, DJ. Okay, so I want to see your pen and ink studies when we get together next time.